Well, Razorback fans, Devo Davis is back on the team. All right.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of the John Nabors Show, which you can catch every weekday afternoon from 4 to 6 on Natty State Sports and nattystatesports.com. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Tuesday, as there's a lot of things going on in the sports world. And we'll get to some Razorback baseball. And also, I'm just going to be honest, it's going to be a weird podcast because it's not exactly going to be the most energized, exciting, good feel podcast, but it is going to be something that has some sort of storyline and dealing with the Razorbacks. But as you heard in the intro, and as I'm sure you know already, Eric Musselman, Razorback basketball coach, announced at his radio show at Sassy's Red House that Devo Davis, Razorback guard, is officially back with the basketball team. He's rejoined. Now, this is according to his, again, Eric Musselman's coach's show, and he's still listed on the team's roster in even his absence, but this is what Muss had to say, quote, Devo and I met yesterday and had a great meeting in the office. He is back with the team in practice today. We're excited to have him back. All right. So, Devo's back. After that whole thing, Devo's back. Now, let me be clear about this, because there's a lot of people that are giving their thoughts on this, and some of the thoughts are ridiculous. Some of the thoughts are out there. Some of you are looking too much into this. Like, here's what it is. Here's what it is. Devo coming back means almost nothing to me. And I don't know why it should mean or why it would mean anything to you. Because here's the thing. I saw people saying like, oh, the quitter's back. Devo's a quitter. Did this, did that, whatever. Okay. If that's what you want to think, then that's fine. But my thing is that if Muss is fine with Devo being back, if the team is fine with Devo being back, then I'm fine with Devo being back. Because we still don't know all the details surrounding his departure. No, it's not the most absurd rumors that you've been hearing, and that's been reported by some, which was pretty disappointing. It's not that. But it is something that obviously Devo's taken very seriously, that Devo's trying to work himself through, and that Arkansas is trying to work with him on it as well. Like, we've talked about it, I think, a few times here on the podcast, that this season is really toast. Like, they're 11-11. They're 2-7 in conference play. This isn't exactly bringing any faith or any good feelings of feeling like, oh man, this is all Arkansas needed, and now they're officially back. Everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows once again. It's not going to be that case. I mean, I'm just being honest, folks. Like, this does nothing for me. It's fine. I guess he's back. I'm wondering if we'll hear anything more from Devo, if he'll have any sort of press conference, or if there'll be a media availability with him, if he'll be available after a game. Like, I'm going to be curious to see what comes from that aspect and that element of it. But I'm just sitting there, and I actually heard about this a few days ago. And then I heard it again today, and then, of course, it got announced at Muss's radio show. And the whole time when I started hearing about it from the first person I did, I'm just like, okay, whatever. Like, I was just, whatever. It's literally all dumb. It's all dumb. I don't know what's going on, and I know that I've talked about it before, that it's something that if it's something serious with Devo or whatever Devo's trying to work through, hopefully he figures it out, and it looks like he did at least enough to come back on the team. Man, just hit a dry spell there. Come back on the team. And so, whatever it is, it's at least gotten to that point. But I'm just like, It's the circus, man. It's straight clown shoes. Like this whole season, everything surrounding it has just been straight clown shoes. And Devo coming back to the team, what is that going to do? Like, what is that going to accomplish? Like, what difference is it going to make? Again, I'm happy he's worked his way through it, but it's like, and I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be back on the team. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying for me personally, like, what is my reaction supposed to be to that? Celebration? Because it's not. Throwing parades? Because it's not. Like, that's not me. That's not what I'm trying to do. That's not what I want to do. I don't feel that way. I feel just kind of like, okay, all right, whatever. Anything else? Anything else you want to throw our way? Any other weird stuff? Well, it's probably going to get some weird stuff, and we'll talk about some of the things that may keep happening for Arkansas. But I just don't really understand. I don't understand any of it. And Devo coming back is going to be a story. That's all it's going to be. Is it just going to be a story? And if Arkansas is able to put some things together this week, and say if they beat Georgia at home, and say if Devo has a great game, that people are going to be talking about, oh, man, look at this. Devo's back. Like, okay, but still, if you guys didn't watch my live stream show, the John Nabors show today, Scotty Borland came up with a great thing where it's like if you look at the ratings when it comes to net rankings and the way that they put it up with other teams and all that, Arkansas could win out the rest of the regular season. They could win out, and that would put them at 11-7 in conference play. And even then, they would still be on the outside looking into the NCAA tournament. So it's like, you got nothing. You got nothing. So I'm just... this is my reaction. Okay. Whatever you want to do. You want to come back? Okay. You want to be able to have some sort of impression or impact on this team? All right. Fine. Sure. Whatever. Just get me through this nonsense, man. I'm just whatever. And I doubt we'll even have an update on anything. Like, I doubt we'll even know what's going on. Like, it still doesn't look like Trevin Brazil's going to play. But he wasn't good when he's on the court. So I'm thinking that with this current situation and Muss bringing Devo back into the fold, I don't know if it's a courtesy. I don't know if it's a thing where it's just, hey, we owe him this. I don't know. But I'm not mad about it. Like, some of you are mad about it, calling him a quitter. I'm not doing that. Because, again, if Muss and the team is fine with it, then I should be. Like, those are the ones that are going to be impacted the most. And, again, if they're fine with it, so be it. But if they're not, then okay, let's have a conversation. But it seems like they're fine with it, and I guess I'm fine with it as far as him being back on the team. But is it going to do anything for me? No. I'm over it. Moving on. Except I'm not, because I still got to talk about basketball on the other side of the break. We'll get into some baseball, too, here in just a second. But, folks, got to say happy Super Bowl to all who celebrate from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because if you're like me, Super Bowl Sunday is always about scoring the best seat on the couch, grabbing your favorite football snacks, and placing some really great super bets. And FanDuel has so many different ways for you to end the season with a W or 2 or 3. Not only can you bet on who will win the Super Bowl 58, but also FanDuel has bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more. New customers, you can join today and get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Some things still going on with Razorback basketball, and I'm just going to be honest about a few things just from what I'm hearing. I don't want to call it like my sources, but my sources have been saying some things with Razorback basketball. that you could see one of the commitments become a decommitment for the upcoming class for Razorback basketball. And you could also see a situation where Caleb Battle, who didn't play for Arkansas in pretty much the second half of the LSU game, he may not be playing for a while. We'll call it a coach's decision. So, assuming those two things happen, which I think they will, and I believe that the person who told me these things and would tell me this in confidence and everything, like, I believe that is the case. But if it all comes to fruition like that, which I believe it will, it's just, again, I'm going to use the term again, it's clown shoes, dude. It's clown shoes. I don't know really if I've seen anything like this type of year. Like, the team is bad, but the drama surrounding the team has been even more absurd. Like, I can't tell you how many people have texted me about some of the most ridiculous, like, rumors that were getting thrown around and speculation that was going on and the whole love triangle thing. Like, there was this girl that I kind of know that's a Texas A&M fan, and she DM'd me on Instagram and was asking me about, hey, is this stuff true? Like, who are you? Like, why are you asking me about this? I got texts from other Locked On College hosts around here. It's like, hey, is this true? Like, the fact that this is what is just really over the top ridiculous for me is, like, not only has the season sucked, but then you got to deal with, on top of this, the ridiculous crap that's going on where some people are actually believing a lot of this stuff. And it's not that it's not true, but it's also like, I'm not blaming people or faulting people for believing something. Not to the extent of those ridiculous things. And again, I'm not even going to mention them. But because nothing's been really communicated with Razorback fans or with the media on what's going on, why is it going on, what's happening, who's doing what, what's the problem. Like, none of that stuff. Like, none of that stuff has been discussed and given to fans for them to be like, all right, here we go. Like, at least we know this, at least we know that. So when that stuff happens, speculation happens. And when speculation happens, it can run rampant. And, it's like the game telephone that we used to play back when, kids talk to each other and with their voices and stuff. It's like, you start with one thing, and then by the time it gets to the very end, it's over. Like, you don't even know what people are talking about anymore. It's just gone off the rails so much that people just start bringing stuff into it. And, if those things happen where, say, if Arkansas loses this big commit and, like the season continues to go the way it is, boy, it's going to really make you feel like the whole discussion of Muss leaving Arkansas at the end of the year is certainly looking a little bit more plausible, just given the circumstances. And if that happens, boy, I tell you, Chuck, man, you talk about a 5-month span where I've never seen anything like it. Top of the top to the bottom of the bottom, and you're just, looking around, and you're just, it's like you have no idea what's going on. Like, you felt like you were just in this tornado, and you kind of just finally came to a standstill, and you're like, I have no idea where I'm at. It's like going through a bad dream, and you wake up, and it felt so real that you're starting to wonder, like, how did all that take place? Only the difference is it's not a dream. This is reality. Like, the stuff that's happened this season is a reality. And it just continues to build. And I wish that there was something that I could really put my faith in, or at least put my understanding into why it's this way, how it's become this way. And I can't. Like, I just, like, after going through the football season, and then now with this, at the basketball season, I don't know. This has been rough. This has been rough. And I feel for you Razorback fans out there because it's something that you should look forward to, and you feel like you got things in the right place. And it's always dumb stuff that makes it go off the rails. It's always dumb stuff that happens either off the court or it goes south so quickly that you don't even have a choice in the matter. You don't even have a say in it. You know, you take one look over here and then you blink and then boom, there it is. Like it went from being everything's hunky dory to it's a huge turd sandwich. And so that's where it's so insane to think like how this has happened. I can't even keep up with it. It has dropped so fast that every single day, you know, I'm preoccupied with this new company that I've been doing, and everything's going really well, by the way. I know you were wondering. But it's like, I was wondering, it's like, luckily this has to preoccupy me because if I was just focusing on nothing but the basketball team each and every day, I'd be like, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to feel like I'm in a fantasy world. I'm taking crazy pills. Because none of it adds up. None of it makes sense. And it looks like it's all going to come crumbling down. And there's no sign of stopping. This avalanche, this domino effect, this, snowball effect, whatever you want to call it, keeps going. And there's no end in sight. Luckily, we have baseball, right? We'll talk a little baseball. Don't worry. Some positive. And on a positive note. Here in just a second. But first, folks, passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Razorback baseball. Can always count on that to save us. Dave Van Horn was meeting with the Swatters Club today, which I'll admit I didn't go. But Andrew Ellis, who does a great job in covering baseball for United States Sports, he had a chance to go, and we got to hear from him a little bit. And he had a little press conference, and there was also a scrimmage that happened today too, and we got a report on that. But it's amazing because I can't remember a season that I've been more excited for Razorback baseball. And I think because of the crappy football and basketball seasons to go along with it, I think that's probably what's helped it. Me and having that level of excitement. But it's something to where I continue to look at this team over and over and over again and hearing the things and getting the scrimmage updates, hearing from Andrew when he's saying that, Aloy, the new shortstop, is out there cranking a home run every single scrimmage. When you got, guys like Stovall going up there, and even though he hit a ball off his foot, he's still cranking out singles and getting hits. You think about all the great plays that's being made and the depth and the pitching and some of the guys like Hagen Smith touching 99, 100 miles an hour. Like all that stuff you're hearing about, like throw it out the window. Just completely throw it out the window. Because scrimmages, as we see so many times, can be deceptive. It cannot mean anything. It can be getting your hopes up. It can make you feel depressed. It just throw it out the window. Who cares? Does not matter. Nah. That's not what really gets me excited about this baseball team. What gets me excited is hearing about Dave Van Horn and the tone, energy, and approach he has towards this year's baseball team. Now, I haven't been covering Razorback baseball as long as many have, but I'd like to think that I've covered them especially in some of their most successful times, or at least in their stride here from 2017 to now. Like, I feel like as involved with the Razorback baseball team as any sport. And I have never heard Dave Van Horn have the approach that he's having right now towards this team. And I've never heard people from his staff have the approach. And even hearing from the players themselves, I have never heard the positive, good feeling, fun approach that this team has before. I've not. And when I start seeing Dave Van Horn and how his attitude and his mood and his vibe is, and I start really putting things together, I'm like, man, this could be something next level elite. Not saying that it'll win the College World Series title. I hope so. It'd be nice for a change, because that's really all that's left for Dave Van Horn to accomplish. He's accomplished everything else. This team has every tool and every reason and every player to put it together and win it all. So, I mean, I feel good about that chance. But it's just nice to know that you can count on something. You know, because say what you want about Dave Van Horn, but the man's only missed postseason one time, and that was in 2016. You know, before that point, he went to World Series in 04 and 09, 2012, 2015. And then in 2017, they made the regionals. And hosted regionals, lost to Missouri State. But folks, since that time, College World Series finals in 2018, College World Series in 2019, no season in 2020. 2021 was the number one team and beat every team in the SEC in a series, lost in the Super Regionals. 2022 went to the College World Series, and then last year lost in the regionals, but still ridden with injuries, was able to get a tie for the SEC title while also being a national seed. This is the prime time for Razorback baseball. And they have what they need this year to be able to be elite. And to hear Dave Van Horn talk about it and feel good about it, that's what makes me feel really good about it, as you should too. Appreciate everybody listening in to the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at BuzzJohnNabors. Actually, it's not that anymore. It's John Nabors Show. Still can't get rid of that one. John Nabors Show. Follow me on Twitter on that for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you then.